He hid in a cave from the storm. Then a voice in the dark whispered your beginning. The storm in the cave. The rain on Xyla Prime was not like Earth's rain. It wasn't soft, nor rhythmic, nor a gentle release of the sky. No, when storms came here, they came as shrieking tempests, with wind strong enough to peel the paint off steel, lightning that carved the horizon into jagged scars, and rain so acidic it etched into stone like fire upon flesh. Elias Merrow had only been on the planet for 3 months, but he had already learned one thing. When a storm rolled in, you ran. He staggered across the uneven, moss-coated plains, his breath tearing at his lungs, the horizon already smeared with black, churning clouds. His survival suit whined from the acidic drizzle, already starting to eat into its outer layer. He cursed the company for sending him here, cursed himself for taking the job, cursed the idea of hazard pay that had sounded so sweet when he was broke on Earth. Through the streaming rain, he spotted it, a jagged maw on the cliffs ahead, a cave, shelter. His boots slipped on the slick ground, and he nearly tumbled headfirst into the mouth of the cavern. He scrambled inside, collapsing onto his knees as the storm outside erupted with full, monstrous force. The sound was deafening. The cave shook as thunder cracked overhead. The air was thick with the smell of ozone and scorched minerals. Elias ripped off his helmet, letting the stale, dry air of the cave fill his lungs. For now, he was safe. He leaned back against the rough stone, closing his eyes. But the silence inside the cavern wasn't complete. There was something, a whisper of sound deep within, a faint echo like air brushing across stone. Elias told himself it was just a storm reverberating through hidden cracks. But then he heard it. Words. A whisper. Close enough to make his skin crawl. You're... Elias froze. His breath caught. Not alone. Middle. The voice in the dark. He shot to his feet, his helmet clattering to the ground. His flashlight snapped on, its pale beam cutting through cavern. The rocky walls glistened with moisture, stalactites hanging like teeth from the ceiling. The cave stretched deeper, twisting into shadows his light couldn't reach. "Who's there?" he shouted, his voice trembling despite his effort to sound firm. Silence. Just the distant howl of the storm outside. His mind raced. Could there be other colonists? No. The company hadn't authorized anyone else this far south. His was the only survey outpost within 1,000 kilometers. "You're late." The voice was behind him now, though he hadn't heard movement. Elias spun, sweeping the flashlight across the walls. Nothing but stone. He backed against the wall, gripping the multi-tool at his belt as if it could protect him. "Show yourself." The whisper came again, softer, sliding into his ear as though it bypassed sound entirely. "You're one of them." His chest tightened. One of what? Elias forced himself to breathe, to think. Panic wouldn't help. If there was something or someone down here, he needed to know what he was dealing with. Against his better judgment, he stepped deeper into the cave. The beam of his flashlight flickered, sputtered, then went out. Total darkness swallowed him whole. The voice sighed. Finally, Elias dropped the useless flashlight, his pulse hammering in his throat. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. "To remember." Something moved in the dark. Not footsteps, more like the stone itself shifting, flowing. A faint glow appeared ahead, pulsing from deep within the cavern, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Drawn by equal parts fear and curiosity, Elias moved toward it. The glow led him into a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. At the center lay a crystalline structure, jagged and impossibly smooth all at once, humming with soft blue light. Elias's breath caught. This wasn't natural. "You've come back," the voice said. The glow intensified, and within the crystal, Elias saw shapes moving, fractured images of people, battles, landscapes he didn't recognize. Yet some part of him did recognize them, as if they were half-forgotten dreams. He stumbled backward. "What the hell is this?" "The truth," the voice replied. "You are not what you think. Middle, the forgotten past." The crystal pulsed again, and Elias's knees buckled. Images flooded his mind, not just sights, but sensations, memories that weren't his. He saw a world burning, its oceans boiling, its skies aflame. He saw beings of light and shadow waging war across galaxies. He saw himself, not as Elias Merrow, human surveyor, but as something else, something older, with eyes like twin suns and hands that shaped worlds. He tore himself free from visions, gasping, "No, that's not me. That's not real. It is..." The voice said gently, almost mournfully, "You were one of us, a sentinel, a guardian of the veil between worlds. When the war ended, you chose exile. You chose to forget. Elias shook his head violently. His mind rebelled. He was from Earth. He had grown up in a mining colony on Luna, scraping by, working dead-end jobs until the company offered him this assignment. He remembered his childhood, his parents, his first love, the bitter taste of recycled water. Denis, you buried yourself in mortality, the voice continued. But storms like these awaken what sleeps within. That is why you came here. That is why you hear me now. Elias pressed his hands against his temples, as if he could squeeze the memories out. No, I'm human. Just human. The voice was silent for a long moment. Then it whispered, You're ours. Rising tension, the awakening. The crystal began to crack. Blue light spilled into the chamber, growing brighter until it painted the stone walls in shimmering waves. The sound was like ice splitting on a frozen lake, sharp and endless. Elias staggered backward. What's happening? You are waking, the voice said, from the fissures in the crystal. Tendrils of light uncoiled, stretching toward him like searching fingers. The air vibrated with raw power. The storm outside raged harder, as if answering the call. Stop, Elias shouted, but the light touched him and his body convulsed. Memories, real, impossible, overwhelming, poured into him. He remembered holding a blade of pure energy, standing on a battlefield where stars themselves had been the weapons. He remembered leading armies of species long extinct. He remembered sealing away something terrible within this very world. His scream echoed through the cavern. When it ended, he was on his knees, trembling. His hands glowed faintly, veins lit with the same blue fire as a crystal. The voice whispered again, but now it was inside him, part of him. You're awake. Climax. The return of the enemy. The crystal shattered. From its remains, a shape emerged, vast, coiling, endless. It was not made of flesh but of shadows and void, its form shifting too fast to comprehend. Eyes open within the darkness, each one a star consumed by hunger. Elias felt it before he saw it. Rage, hunger, a boundless malice that pressed against his mind. You kept me imprisoned, the creature thundered without sound. But you could not keep me forever. Elias staggered back. The memories clarified. This was the entity he had sealed here, the Stormbringer, the Devourer. He had locked it in crystal ages ago, sacrificing his power and memory to keep it bound. And now he had set it free. The cave shook, rocks tumbling from above. The storm outside roared like a living thing. What do I do? Elias whispered. The voice, his own true self, answered inside him. Fight. The battle. Blue fire erupted from Elias's hands, arcing across the chamber. The creature howled as the light struck it, its form unraveling into tendrils of shadow. It lashed back, a whip of darkness slamming him into the wall. Pain ripped through his ribs, but the fire within him burned brighter. He stood, raising his hands, summoning energy he hadn't known he possessed. The chamber became a storm of light and shadow, colliding in violent waves. The walls cracked, stone liquefying under force. Elias remembered how to move, how to fight, not as a human, but as a sentinel. He leapt into the air, striking with blades of pure light conjured from his will. The creature shrieked, its form fracturing, but it was strong, too strong. For every wound he dealt, it grew another arm, another head, another maw. You cannot destroy me, it thundered. I am the storm. I am forever. Elias's strength faltered. His body, still partly human, couldn't channel the power for long. His vision blurred. The shadows closed in. Then he heard the voice, his voice, steady and calm. You cannot destroy it, but you can bind it again. Ending the choice. Elias knew what that meant. To bind the entity again, he would have to give up everything. His humanity, his life, his freedom. He closed his eyes, breathing hard. All his memories, both human and sentinel, flashed through him. His mother's smile on Luna, the taste of cheap whiskey at the outpost, the feel of the sword forged from light in his hand. The war, the exile. He opened his eyes. I may not be who I thought I was, he said aloud, his voice echoing through the cavern. But I am still me, and I choose. He plunged his glowing hands into the shattered remains of the crystal. Power surged through him, a river of fire and lightning. The shadows screamed as the crystal reformed, pulling the creature back, piece by piece. The cave shook violently, the storm outside collapsing into eerie silence. The last of the shadows were dragged into the crystal as Elias's body dissolved into light. For one final moment, he stood, no longer Elias, no longer just human, but a figure of radiant energy. Then he was gone. The cave fell silent. The The storm ended. The crystal pulsed softly once more, whole and unbroken. And deep within, a whisper lingered. You're never forgotten.